visit them at Westside Decorating Center. Good morning. I'm Art Lewis. Thanks for being with us. My thanks to Matt Fallon last week for filling in while I was at the Dow Championships, and he was broadcasting from the Dow Championship, but I want to thank him for doing that. And also congratulations to all of the competitors at the Dow Championship. What a great week it was. The weather was good, the crowds were large, and the golf was phenomenal. And I enjoyed my T1 starter position, as I've been since the beginning of the tournament. This was its fifth year, and it's a lot of fun. It's a great event, and they raised a lot of money for charity. So congratulations to all. What a month for sports in the Great Lakes Bay region, huh? The Memorial Cup comes to Saginaw, and Saginaw wins. And then the Dow Championship, we've got balloons. We've got all kinds of things going on in the state of Michigan. They had the Rocket Mortgage Classic this week. It's just been a busy time. Anyway, later on after the 10 o'clock news, we're going to talk to State Representative Bill G. Schuette. 11 o'clock will be open phones. We'll have open phones as time permits this morning. We're going to start out, though, talking about anxiety, particularly anxiety among teenagers as portrayed in the film. We're going to talk about a little bit here. And with us from Easter Seals Mork is its Chief Medical Officer, we say good morning to Dr. Jeffrey Gunay. Doctor, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
There was a film, Pixar's newest film called Inside Out 2, that really has put a spotlight on anxiety. So before we get into this and how it relates to teenagers, how do you define anxiety?
So anxiety is really any kind of feeling of a fear or worry or horror. It could be triggered by something in front of you that's fearful, or it could be something that's anticipatory. You're worried about something that's going to happen in the future, or worried about something that might happen, and it looks different for everybody, kids, adults, and can look different at different times.
Is it fair to say that at some point in our lives we all suffer from some kind of anxiety?
Well, I think at some point in our day, we all suffer from different kinds of anxiety. And I think that's an important distinction, because a lot of times people think anxiety means something's wrong with you, but really anxiety is a normal human emotion. At some point, worry crosses over into becoming an anxiety disorder. And so I like to distinguish anxiety from anxiety disorders. Worry is normal. Worry, anxiety keeps us from making really bad decisions. If you weren't a little bit nervous standing on the edge of a cliff, you might be reckless and fall off. If you weren't a little bit nervous about a math test coming up, you wouldn't study for it, and then you'd fail. So anxiety is a good protective emotion, but when it becomes so disabling that it keeps us from doing the things we need to do at work, at school, at home, that's when it can cross over and become an anxiety disorder that might need treatment.
And is that where we're at now, where we see this growing rate in the teenage population? Are we seeing this crossover into what might now be a medically treatable problem as opposed to everyday anxiety?
Well, I think there's a couple things going on. I think on one hand, there's some over-pathologization going on where normal anxiety is getting labeled as pathological anxiety. And so, sometimes, it's normal to have social anxiety. Everybody is afraid about someone judging them or how they look and speaking in front of groups. That's a normal thing. And so we want to really make sure that we're distinguishing from normal anxiety and pathological anxiety or dysfunctional anxiety. So some of the increased rates are just related, I think, to overdiagnosis, unfortunately. At the same time, we are seeing true increase and dysfunction, pathological anxiety, especially among kids. Big part of that is social media, which we know drives this. And there's lots of other factors, but also just increased sheltering and kids spending less time unsupervised, outdoor, unsupervised free play. So those are important things for helping us build our tolerance for anxiety and stress and functioning.
So if we have let's say a parent is a parent of a teenage youngster, how do they differentiate between everyday anxiety and what becomes pathological or anxiety where the youngster may need some kind of treatment?
Yeah, it's really tough, especially in the teenage years. All of us who have a teenager or experience being a teenager know that our emotions, our behaviors change a lot in those years, and there can be a lot of mood swings, a lot of pushing boundaries, and those sorts of things. And so it sometimes can be very difficult to tease out what is just someone being a normal kid and what is someone really suffering. And I think, again, what I look at isn't so much the moods and the behaviors, but the effects of them. Is it really impacting a kid's ability to take care of what they need to do? Are their grades? They were always an A student, and suddenly their grades are tanking. That would be, really concerning. They're suddenly getting, in trouble with the law. They're suddenly don't have friends and isolating. Those sorts of things would worry me about that this isn't just normal teenage mood problems, but this is really impacting their ability to function.
Do you then start with your family doctor, or do you seek out a psychologist or psychiatrist? What's the avenue for coping here?
Yeah, it just depends. A lot of people can start with their primary care, whether it's family medicine or pediatrics, and that person is trained to do some basic mental health screening and sometimes prescribe medicine as well, or they may refer them to a therapist, whether it's a social worker, counselor, psychologist, or psychiatrist, and or depending on the situation, you might go straight to a therapist or a psychiatrist. And usually, for lots of situations with depression and anxiety, often therapy is just as good, if not better, than the medications. But sometimes all-above approach can be really helpful, and medications can be helpful as well, depending on the situation.
Since this primarily is, I would assume, what we classify as a mental disorder, and we all know that there's been a lot of stigma attached to mental health, how do we get around that?
Yeah, stigma is tough. On the one hand, we have a lot of people suffering in silence, and they're afraid to speak up. They're afraid to talk to their parents or their teachers about what's going on, or families that are afraid to reach out for help because they feel like it will make them look bad or their child look bad or could hurt them. To all those people, I just it's important to remind you that all healthcare professionals are bound by confidentiality, and so we keep that information private, and so that's really important. On the other hand, there's also partly why social media can drive a lot of these problems is because there's a lot of people talking about it in an unhealthy way. And so we want to make sure people are talking about it to the right people, to their parents, teachers, to professionals. Talking about these things online can lead to a lot of misinformation and a lot of exacerbation of problems.
So I know that Easter Seal Mork has free online screenings. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah. On our website, Easter Seals Mork. That's Easter Seals one word MORC.org. We have a free screening. It's anonymous. We don't collect any information on anybody, but you can look at different kinds of disorders. You can do it for yourself or your loved one, and at the end, we provide resources in the community as well as at Easter Seals Mork if people are interested.
Tell us about Easter Seals Mork. What is it?
So we are the largest mental health care provider in the state of Michigan. We have locations all over, and we provide a variety of services, including psychotherapy and psychiatry, med management, case management. We take care of people with depression and anxiety and substance use disorders, autism, developmental disabilities, schizophrenia, really any mental health concern, kids and adults.
Again, the website?
EasterSealsMork.org.
MORC for Mork. Well, Doctor, this has been interesting. Thank you for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye now. Dr. Jeffrey Gonnet, and he is Chief Medical Officer for Easter Seals Mork. We thank him for joining us. We will take a pause. When we come back for the remainder of the hour, we'll have open phones at 989-752-6111. Haven't done that all week because of the tournament last week, but here's your opportunity for open phones. Meantime, let me talk about Quick Lane Freeland next to McDonald Ford, which is my car dealer. Quick Lane Freeland, a one-stop shop for all your routine maintenance, oil changes, brakes, tires, batteries, the like, on any car, make or model, doesn't matter. And one of the things they can do is keep you safe in your cabin. They have a product called FrigiFresh. This is a hospital-grade disinfectant. Kills germs, odors, pollen, you name it, and keeps your car very, very safe and fresh. Coupled with, don't forget your cabin filter, which a lot of new cars have now. You can stop in to Quick Lane Freeland. It's $20 for FrigiFresh. Takes 10 minutes. No appointment necessary. Just stop in, ask for it. They'll take care of it. And drive away knowing that you have a safe environment in your automobile. Quick Lane Freeland, working on all makes and models of cars and trucks to keep them in tip-top shape. Right next to my car dealer, McDonald Ford. Stop in today and ask for FrigiFresh.
What's the most important part of a retirement?
This is a test of the emergency.
All right, we're back with you and open phones for the remainder of the hour, and we're going to begin with Owen in Gladwin. Owen, good morning.
Good morning. This is Owen. I got an idea for Jonathan Dent in the fall. I remember Pat Johnson doing the football scores, predictions of the football scores.
Yep.
I would like to see that again on the morning show on a Thursday.
I'll tell you what, I'll make a note and pass that on. That's a good idea. I loved it.
And I think Jonathan would be a great person for it because he loves sports.
Yep. Good idea.
So,
all right, Owen.
Also, I think the bridge partners in Bay City, they should waive all the fees on the bridges until the construction is done or the Independence Day, 4th of July festival is done. Because I don't think it's fair that we have to pay $3 to get across to go and visit a festival that's been there for as long as I can remember.
Yeah. All right. Good enough. Good thoughts.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye now. Yeah. And we move over to Mike in Thomas Township. Mike, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Art. Did you, perchance, watch the debate?
Not more than, let's see, 30 seconds of it. Because I had an obligation that night, so no, I did not. But I caught up with it. I mean, I saw all the pieces.
Well, I watched the whole thing, and it wasn't exactly what I expected to see. I was, I thought for sure they would, have a better show than that. But it kind of makes me think that what I've been telling everybody forever, everybody else is seeing it now, his decline and everything. And it's a shame that what they're doing to him, it's elder abuse. And see, the problem with Alzheimer's or dementia is that, you can hop somebody up or you can get them to go for a while, but there's nothing that make them go for a long period of time where they can see, like they're, normal people. And but it's a shame. So maybe some of the people now will see what we've been talking about forever.
Well, a lot of the Democrats did. I know they're worried about it.
Oh yeah, very very sure. But it's a shame. But he won't bail out, at least so far. I don't know. Somebody will have to talk to him. But I don't think his wife wants to talk to him because she kind of likes the limelight, and that's what I have an impression is that she likes being there and doesn't want him to give up because she's got to be a big influence on him.
Well,
for sure.
There's only two ways it can happen. Either he gives up and says, I'm not a candidate and releases his delegates, or they, invoke the 25th Amendment, and that's not going to happen.
No, for sure.
So time will tell. Time will tell.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's I hate to be right on something like that.
Yeah.
But
okay.
Take care, my friend.
Yep.
Have a good one.
Bye now. And we say hello to Scott in Saginaw before we take a break here. Scott, good morning to you.
Hey, morning. Two things real quick. About the debate, we all seen what we've seen. I don't think Joe is going to go anywhere because he's going to stay to protect his son. Because Hunter wouldn't be in any of this trouble with tax evasion or anything if Joe wasn't selling his influence. Hunter would have never been working at Burisma if Joe would have never been vice president. So I don't think Joe will go anywhere. He's going to stay there to protect his kid.
Right, that's not an unreasonable expectation.
And I'll just leave that whole thing alone because it was very, very sad watching that.
Yeah, it was.
It was very sad. And off that, I want to talk real quick about Saginaw here with that monument they have downtown here. I finally went on a good bike ride the other day, got a 360-degree view of that thing, and I came to a conclusion. I said, maybe I'm wrong. So I rode my bike up to the towers there and asked some people, and I asked a couple of gentlemen today, and I said, what do you guys think of this? They said, it sure looks like the gay pride stuff. I said, that's exactly what I was thinking. And as you look at this thing, you see lips on it with the gay pride colors. You see over on the east side of it, facing the river, there's a figure with a face, glasses, lips, hair. And we started talking about it, and other people joined in on this. We're going, I thought this was supposed to represent the community. We were a logging community. We were an auto industry. We were not a queer
I will
community.
tell you what. It had absolutely nothing in any way, shape, or form to do with gay pride. Not a thing. Not even close.
It sure looks like it, Art.
Well, I don't agree, but that's all right. Yeah, it's all right. We will agree to disagree on that.
But take a good look at it, Art. Take a really close look. Don't just look at the big picture of it, because that's what I did. But when you start looking at art, start looking at individual pictures on it, and what are they trying to represent? Why do they have lips on there with the gay pride colors, if not to represent?
Listen,
no, the whole thing looks.
We're going to totally.
Art,
we're just going to agree to disagree on this one. That's all.
Okay.
All right, Scott. Fair enough.
All right, bye.
Bye now. Let me see here. We'll take a quick break and we'll come back. We'll get to Earl and Al when we return.
Attention, Saginaw.
All right, we're back with you here on WSUW, the Art Lewis Show, and Earl is in Saginaw. Good morning, Earl.
Well, that's enough to get me up on the ceiling this morning. I just climbed down from the ceiling. First of all, that was not a debate. That was a discussion between someone who is a little too old for the job and someone who thinks he's an emperor, okay, and doesn't have to answer to anyone. Now, for what's going on in the Saginaw River, we don't have logging anymore, and there's a lot of logs in the bottom of the Saginaw River. I've been there. I was on the Sheriff's Department dive team when it was here. I've been to both ends of the Mackinac Bridge, to the top of the towers and to the bottom of the towers, and getting to the artwork done down there. That is not from the gay parade. Give me a break. It is beautiful and nice addition to Saginaw. Whoever thought about putting it there, thank you. It's the artist that was in charge of it. I think he was from Spain, wasn't he?
Okuda.
Yeah, and I think they did a wonderful job. There was a lot of painters from Saginaw that were involved with that project.
Yep.
So I wish people would knock that crap off. We're not new logging industry
well, and
anymore.
It's not only that.
We have horses.
Not only that. I mean, just because a pride flag is multicolored doesn't mean we can't use those colors for else. They haven't claimed total ownership on those colors. They can be used for anything.
You're absolutely right. But we don't have any horse and buggies, and we don't have any logging going on in the Saginaw River, although there's a bunch down there. It might be worth a fortune like they're doing in Alaska.
Yeah.
Because I hit my head on a couple of underwater when we were looking for someone.
That's what happened to you.
Oh, well, I hit it a little too hard. But I even had a helmet on. But, it upsets me every time someone thinks that's the gay parade design on the top of the towers. Give me a break. It's beautiful, and it'll be attraction for anyone. There'll be trips here just to see that style.
Yep.
It's beautiful. I think it's the largest one in
second largest mural.
America.
Second largest mural.
Yeah, it is.
All
it's
right.
Beautiful, and I'm not the only one that thinks so, sir.
Good enough.
Now I can get back down on the floor.
Thanks,
Talk to you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And we'll say hello to Al in Bay City. Al, good morning.
Morning, Arthur. I want to comment on the Dow Championships I attended on Thursday, and I have one comment to say that when you stop to think of what a great event that is, and you and the Dow Chemical Company should be commended for the great job, and the course was immaculate, and those women are super that played in that tournament. And I just think a tremendous event because they raised a lot of money for nonprofits.
Yep.
And I just think you guys are really commended for a great tournament.
They've raised up to now over $2 million for local partner charities. And I had the pleasure of playing in the Pro-Am on Wednesday and played with a couple of those gals. And it is amazing to watch them hit the ball. And, of course, I'm the first tee starter, so I get to see them all tee off. And it is just, it is mind-blowing.
Another thing is, you look at this area that we live in. Now we have major sports events between the Dow Championships and the Cup, Hockey Cup here.
Memorial Cup.
So we're not putting on just second-rate events. We're putting on major events.
Yeah, they brought the Memorial Cup over to the Dow Championship and set it on a table in the lobby of the club right next to the Dow Trophy that was brand new. The Dow Trophy this year is a new trophy made by Tiffany in New York. And the two of them side by side, it was spectacular. So, all right.
Well, anyway, you guys did a great job.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Al. Bye-bye. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Come back. We'll get to Gene when we return.
Ignite your independence.
All right, we're back here on WSGW, and we'll go back to our phones and talk to Gene in Bay City. Good morning, Gene.
Good morning. Glad to have you back on the radio again. We all miss you.
Oh, thanks.
During the debate, Trump made a remark. He said, the last time I talked to Putin, he told me his dream has always been to take back Ukraine. People don't realize how close friends that Trump is with Putin. When Trump was president, there was a day, there were two Russian diplomats, I can't remember their titles, but anyway, the two Russians and Trump were walking to the Oval Office, and somebody came running up to him and gave him paper and told them this is important. It just came in from Israel. And they got in the Oval Office, and instead of Trump reading the paper first, he read that paper out loud to those two Russian men. People just aren't looking at that and realizing what a close relationship he has with Putin and how dangerous that is and how Putin will use him just like Hitler used other world leaders and then stabbed them in the back. If Trump becomes president, he's going to stop funding Ukraine, and he's going to do his best to pull us out of NATO.
Well, time will tell.
Thank you for listening. God bless you.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
And we say hello to Carl in Saginaw. Carl, good morning.
Good morning, Art. Can you believe it's July already?
No, I can't. I said that last week. I think last Monday. I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it kind of snuck up on us again. That just keeps happening, it seems. I watched the debate I watched the highlights of the debate. It was hard to watch.
Were there any highlights?
Well, the low lights.
Yeah, you go.
It was difficult to watch on many levels.
Yep.
And Art, you've been saying for a long time you didn't think it was going to come down to Biden versus Trump, and I'm thinking that maybe this should be an opportunity for the Democrats.
Well, you have to remember this, though. You have to remember this.
Yeah.
They don't have a choice. It's his choice. He has the delegates locked up for the convention. In order for them to make a change, he has to release those delegates.
Yes, but if like the top 10 or 20, Democrats in the House and the Senate and governors went to him, and had a, come to Jesus moment or something, that might make a difference. But yeah, it's probably his call.
Yeah, I think they started that process this weekend.
Well, yeah, it's just, this race has been very close for a long time.
Yep.
Within the margin of error for months and months. And a lot of people are not happy with the two choices that they have. I think the Democrats should rethink, someone else. I think Kamala Harris at the top of the ticket, someone else as vice president. It would energize the campaign. It would upset the apple cart.
Well, let me offer this up and see what you think of this, all right?
Sure.
If I'm a Democrat, yes, I'm looking elsewhere. I am not looking at Kamala Harris. And the reason I'm not is because her ratings with the public are much less than everybody else's. I need a strong candidate. I need somebody that can, come out of the chute and do the job. And I have said many, many times.
No, not again. Not again. She's not. Michelle Obama is not going to run. She's not going.
All right, let me phrase it this way: a Michelle Obama-like person would have to be on the ticket at this point in time. That's my personal opinion, and I don't know who that is, to tell you the truth, other than Michelle Obama. I don't know who that is that they could bring forward who might be able to, really energize the base. Maybe, and let me throw this one out, maybe Hakeem Jeffries, the minority leader in the House, maybe.
Well, I'd say him maybe as vice president. I think Kamala Harris is underrated. I think more people got to know her.
Well,
I think they would.
She's already lost that race once.
She inherits, if Biden drops out, she inherits under Democratic rules the delegates, the fundraising.
If he releases them, yeah. If he releases them, yes.
They go to her under Democratic rules.
Yeah, but they're not the ones that elect. They're not the ones that elect the president. The public is.
That's true, but I think it's just my opinion. I think, like you said, the two choices we have right now, people are not happy. They may just stay home and not vote at all. I think it's time to try something different.
All right.
You know, I actually said Biden 3.5 years ago should have announced he is not running again. I'm just going to be president for the next 4 years. I'm not going to focus on. I'm just going to do the job of president. But he didn't, and here we are.
We'll see what happens. All right. Good enough, Carl. Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye now.
Bye now.
And last caller is going to be Jeff in Midland. Jeff, good morning.
Morning, Art. Hey, the lady who just called about Putin and Trump, how does she know that for a fact? Was she there?
That's her opinion.
You should have asked her if she was there. How did she know that for a fact?
It's her opinion. And this is an opinion show. Everybody
that
has opinions.
An opinion. That was a statement.
Well, listen.
Like she knew for sure that really happened.
A lot of people call up this show and make statements as if theirs is the only way of viewing something.
Yeah, you could have told her that she couldn't be spreading falsehoods, just like most of the liberals do that call your show.
And none of the conservatives do that?
I didn't say that now, did I?
Well, you left it open, didn't you?
Well, you closed it, didn't you?
I did.
All right, thanks, sir. I listen to your show every day.
Appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, Jeff.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye now. All right. Yeah, just listen. First, everyone has their opinion, and that's what this is. Is it an opinion show? You offer your opinion. Some people like to state their opinions as facts. That doesn't make them facts. It still remains an opinion. And that's what makes a horse race. What makes it interesting. All right, we're going to take our last break at the top of the hour here. Coming up next hour, we're going to talk to State Representative Bill G. Schuette, see what's going on with the newly passed budget, and particularly as it has to do with education. There are a lot of educators that are really miffed at what happened in the budget. We will talk to him about that and more. But first, we'll take care of a little bit of business with these notes. Pretty much wrap up this first hour of the Art Lewis Show. Appreciate you being with us. As I said, we're going to talk to State Rep Bill G. Schuette. Coming up right after the news, but the news is first from CBS. They will bring you up to date on the world and the nation and all that good stuff. And then it looks like Jonathan Dent in the WSGW newsroom to bring you up to date on the region and the state of Michigan. And after the news, we'll be back with lots more good conversation. I'm Art Lewis. We'll be back.
Broadcasting from the
Biden officials spent the weekend on the phone trying to reassure worried lawmakers and donors.
Hurricane Beryl pounding the southeast Caribbean as a monster Category 4 storm, the earliest of that strength to ever form in the Atlantic. People in Barbados are getting ready.
Whatever they can get their hands on, they're getting.
Everybody take precautions, get the boat out of the water.
Odyssey meteorologist Craig Allen.
So long as we keep this track, Beryl is not a threat to the U.S. mainland.
Beryl's maximum sustained winds at the moment 130 miles an hour. A family demands answers after police released body cam video of the shooting death of a 13-year-old during a traffic stop. CBS's Michael George is in Utica.
Police say he pointed what looked like a gun at officers. One officer wrestles the teen to the ground and punches him. Another officer fires.
Oh my God! Yo, he just shot him!
The teen, identified as Nia Emwe, died at the hospital.
Police say his weapon turned out to be a pellet gun. Ultra-Orthodox men flooded the streets of Jerusalem to protest a military draft order.
For 2,000 years we've been persecuted and we've survived because we're learning Torah. And now the Supreme Court wants to remove this from us, and it will cause our destruction.
The Paris Olympics begin in less than a month, and the U.S. gymnastics team is ready to go. Former all-around champ Simone Biles led the way in the qualifiers in Minneapolis after dropping out of the Olympics 3 years ago to deal with her mental health.
I knew I wasn't done after the performances in Tokyo, so just getting back in the gym and working hard and trusting the process with Cecile and Laurent, I knew I'd be back.
The Dow is up 265 points. S&P ahead 4. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Get renter's insurance to protect the things that make your place a home, including coverage for theft or damage. Visit Progressive.com.
I worked on the ranch here. Live from the 100.5 and 790 newsroom. This is WSGW News.
Sunny skies and 63 degrees at 10:05. Good morning, I'm Jonathan Dent. Police in Saginaw are investigating a shooting at a Family Dollar last Friday. The incident occurred at the 1908 South Michigan Avenue location around 11:45 in the morning. No details have been released on any potential victims or suspects. We'll have more information as it becomes available. A 14-year-old boy was killed while riding a bicycle in Flint last Thursday. Police say Jacose Burnett Russell was riding his bike north on Chevrolet Avenue near Woodbridge Street around 9:15 p.m. when he was struck from behind by a white Ford Edge. The boy was taken to Hurley Medical Center with critical injuries where he died the next day. Police are working to determine if speed or alcohol were factors in the crash. Anyone with information can call the Flint Police Department. The city of Midland has a number of activities planned for this year's Independence Day. Starting at 4 p.m., food trucks will assemble outside Dow Diamond with an on-site beer garden. The Loons will take on the West Michigan Whitecaps at 7:05 p.m. inside the stadium. Live music begins on the Dow Diamond lawn at 8 p.m. featuring Leave Those Kids Alone. Around 10 p.m., guests will be treated to a 4th of July fireworks display launched from the St. Charles Softball Diamonds. Fireworks will be visible from various downtown locations. For the safety and enjoyment of all spectators, personal fireworks like sparklers, firecrackers, and other items, including alcohol, will be prohibited in city parks. Tickets are required to attend the baseball game, but the events and activities outside the stadium are free to attend. Several road closures will also go into effect from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. the following morning, including along Main Street, State Street, Towsley Street, Crissy Street, St. Charles Street, Benson Street, and River Street. The Chippewa Trail, beginning at the Tridge to Whitman Drive, will also be closed from 6 a.m. to midnight. WSGW News Time is 10:07.
Brickleberry Farm is...
Time is 10:08. The weather forecast is coming up. It was a story that made national headlines 4 years ago when a Detroit area woman who paramedics thought was dead was found alive in a body bag. Now an appeals court has ruled that a judge was wrong to dismiss a lawsuit by the victim's family, and the case has been revived. Back in 2020, paramedics tried to resuscitate Tamisha Beauchamp but declared her dead. She was never taken to a hospital, but instead went to a funeral home in a body bag. When the bag was opened hours later, Beauchamp was discovered to be alive, gasping for air. She died 2 months later, and her family believes her death was caused by negligence on the part of the paramedics. Last summer, a judge ruled in favor of Southfield EMS and dismissed the suit, but now a 3-0 appeals court ruling means the lawsuit will return to Oakland County Circuit Court. This is the week we'll be hearing and seeing fireworks, and there's no doubt will be some accidents where kids or adults get burned or hurt. Dr. Jamie Hope, the medical director of Corewell Health Outpatient Campus in Metro Detroit, says they've already seen injuries related to fireworks this year.
Unfortunately, it is exceptionally common. We have already seen firework-related injuries. I've been a physician with the Beaumont system, now known as Corewell, since 2005, and every single year we see firework injuries, but the good news is these are preventable.
Dr. Hope says always light fireworks outdoors on a paved surface at least 25 feet away from houses and flammable materials such as dry grass or mulch. When you see news happening, call the WSGW newsroom at 752-0790. It's 1010. I'm Jonathan Dent.
Get to our guest this morning. Just a couple of quick notes. First, to acknowledge the passing of a friend and someone who was very instrumental in helping to increase the quality of life in the Great Lakes Bay region and Saginaw in particular. I speak of Tom Braley. Tom passed away at a relatively young age, in his 60s, suddenly on the 29th. He and his lovely wife, Stephanie, of course, revitalized the Court Street Theater, among many things that he's done, and served on numerous boards and been involved in the community for a long, long time. So we note his passing with sadness and offer up our condolences to Stephanie and the family. Tom will be missed. Also, since I spent the week in Midland at the Dow Championship, I want to offer my congratulations to Ronnie Yin and Thaya Thirukun, the winners of the Dow Championship. Fabulous, fabulous tournament. Midland Country Club did yeoman's duty in getting ready for the tournament. And the 800, the 1,000 or 1,100 plus volunteers also, do that tournament proud. So just congratulations to all involved. And now we'll turn our attention to our special guest this morning. He is State Representative Bill G. Schuette. Representative Schuette, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Art. Appreciate you having me back on the show.
Anytime. So let's start with the budget, now that the state has one. And we probably ought to take a look at the education component, because apparently there are a lot of superintendents who are not real happy today. Where are we with education funding in the state of Michigan?
Yeah, Art, there's a lot of superintendents who aren't happy, and I think there's going to be a lot of parents of children in our education system, K through 12, who will be unhappy as well, because, for the first time in more than a decade, Art, they have not increased the per student funding mechanism in our state budget. And, it's not just the grocery store where prices are going up, Art. It is in the classroom, it's our school systems, and to not increase funding for our students when we have a record amount of revenue is it really shows the misplaced priorities and bad budgeting that happened in this state budget.
In reading this over, and I'm certainly not an accountant, but it appears there's a little bit of a shell game going on here, because they did free up an estimated $589 million that districts normally would put into a retirement fund. But that's a kind of a short-term thing, isn't it?
It is a short-term thing from both an accounting perspective and then also a fiscal responsibility perspective. I'm of a belief that you should pay down your debts first, pay down your mortgage first. I follow the Dave Ramsey methodology there. But the Democrats decided to take money out of the teachers' pension fund to allow them to pay their other pet projects, while at the same time not increasing the per pupil funding. And the simple fact of the truth is we could continue to pay down our debt in the state, Art, which is very important. We don't want to have unfunded liabilities as a state, as taxpayers, and increase funding for our schools. But the Democrats decided not to do that.
Given the fact that this budget is after all of the COVID money's been spent, it's not realistic to think that there'd be increases. Are there? I mean, if you for example, if you had to increase, if you increase the student per student contribution from the state, where do you get that money from?
Yeah, no. So you're right, Art, in the sense that the federal COVID money is gone, and that's why from the very beginning, when we were talking this time last year and the year before, what I always said is, when you have one-time money, you should spend it on long-term projects. Instead, the Democrats decided to put them into great new programs and programmatic expenses that are ongoing with one-time money. That doesn't make any sense, especially when those costs go up and up. Why we could have still increased the per pupil allotment is because our revenues are up as a state, because we did have a record amount of revenue. So Yes, the one-time COVID money is gone. The problem is the Democrats still want to spend on their pet projects and programmatic expenses, and that's why they were not able to fund the per pupil allotment. And schools and infrastructure it's like blocking and tackling in football. Schools and infrastructure are the two most important investments we can make in our state budget.
It's interesting that the revenues are up at a time when the state ostensibly is flat or losing population. How do we account for the increased revenue? Does inflation have something to do with that? Because it's cost more?
Exactly. It's mostly, just in an inflationary aspect. And that's, the part of the aspect that we have record revenue is, in in our high inflation times, the value of a dollar is less than it was earlier. But that does mean that the amount of nominal revenue is up. But you are correct. We're not growing economically or population-wise in a way like the state of Florida is, or a state like Carolina is with their booming growth.
Let's talk about this budget from a standpoint of this region, because there has been in the past some money put forth for the the Four Lakes Task Force and the dam failures, and also for flood reduction that your dad's involved in. Any money in this budget for any of that?
No, and that's, again, a reason why I voted no. I mean, I'm disappointed in this budget from how it handled education. Should also mention it didn't, this budget, it's hard to make this stuff up, Art. Cut funding for school safety programs. I mean, you talk about misplaced priorities. School safety should be something close to the hearts and minds of every taxpayer.
And let me just also toss in, am I also correct that they cut student funding for mental health?
Yeah, mental health and school safety are, kind of the two things where we look at our school system right now. We want to make sure we're fully funding. The misplaced priorities in this are ridiculous. So I wasn't able to support this budget because of the horrendous way they handled school aid, but also because of the neglect for infrastructure. And I, throughout every step of the process, Art, was asking for increased money for our Four Lakes Task Force and for the rebuilding of those dams, because we know the cost of that special assessment is significant. And again, there's money in this budget for things like the Lansing Zoo got $10 million, and Detroit Zoo got a couple $1 million, but there wasn't one penny for rebuilding the dams and for the Four Lakes Task Force here, for those types of infrastructure investments, that blocking and tackling that we need.
Yeah. All right, hang on. I got to take a break, Bill, and we'll be back. We're talking to State Representative Bill G. Schuette, and we will have more when we return.
We're proud to make...
Back with you on the Art Lewis Show here on WSGW. Our guest, State Representative Bill G. Schuette. So, Bill, let me ask, let's move on from education just for a minute and look at the rest of the state budget. Parts you liked, parts you didn't like?
In an $83 billion budget, there'll always be some investments that you think are good, but you have to look at the underlying basic dynamics. And again, we could have diverted billions more towards our roads, towards that hard physical infrastructure, roads, bridges, dams, the types of things that government needs to be doing. Instead, it was $10 million to the Lansing Zoo, or to the Detroit boxing gym, or to private clubs. I mean, those aren't the types of investments that taxpayers should be funding. Those are that's the classic pork barrel spending that really frustrates voters across our state. So it was a bad budget. And again, I think there's a place for investments of these revenues, but the way the Democrat majority chose to spend it really makes you shake your head.
And in reality, the infrastructure is a pay me now or pay me later, isn't it? One way or another.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's really hard to encourage businesses to invest in our state when they can't trust the bridges their trucks are driving over, and they're having to, replace axles because the roads are in such a rough shape. And it's also something that we should expect from our government, that they're able to provide those high qualities of services. And these costs only go up, and they only get more expensive. And if we don't invest now, you're exactly right. It's a pay you later. You must have taken Dave Ramsey too, like we were talking about paying down debt.
I've listened to him for a long time.
Yeah, there you go.
I guess I need to ask then, when it comes to roads too, was there any increase in money shared with counties and things of that nature?
So there is some increased revenue sharing, which, again, in an $83 billion budget, there are good things. And it is important that we direct more money to our county road associations. But again, we could have done a lot more. Working with our partners in the Senate, we tried to divert $1 billion additional dollars. We're funding roads at around $6 billion. We really need around $7 or $8 billion, to fix the darn roads, as our governor likes to say. And it's hard to get to that number when you're spending $500 million on pet projects.
So, if we look at past budgets, particularly the past couple of years with all the federal money that was involved, this budget, I'm assuming in total, is not as big as those budgets. Am I wrong?
You would think so. This budget is bigger. It's the biggest budget, $83 billion. It's about $2 billion more than last year's budget. Again, there is some inflation. Yeah. How do they do that, Art? That's a great question. Some of that, I got you. Yeah, no, some of that's inflation, like we talked about. But the real aspect of that is this rating of the teachers' pension fund is saying we're not going to pay down our debt as much. Instead, we're going to take money out of our our state, pension fund debt and divert that towards current expenses. And you don't have to have taken Dave Ramsey to know that's the wrong approach to do.
That almost, to me, and again, I'm not this great accountant or anything, but it seems to be an interesting paradox that they took money out of that fund for other things in the state, and at the same time, they're telling schools they don't have to put money in the retirement fund, and supposedly that frees up $589 million total in the state. That seems to be quite contrary.
Yeah, it seems, and it is, Art, and that's why you've seen such a backlash from our school groups across the state. Is frustration of if you're going to try and rob Peter to pay Paul, somebody's going to end up holding the bag, and that's the state of Michigan. That's the taxpayers right now, and it's concerning because under Governor Snyder, we were in Republican leadership. We were on track to pay down our debt by 2038, which is it's a long ways away, but it was better than the path we're on. What we don't want to get to in Michigan is to be a state like Illinois that has a failing credit rating, and its taxpayers are kind of caught in a quagmire where their taxes keep going up and their growth keeps going down. That's not where we want to be. So that's a concerning aspect. Why it's very important we bring some fiscal accountability back to Lansing this coming election.
So talk procedure here for a minute. The budget is passed. Is it now modifiable at all? I mean, can they go back to it and say, well, let's revisit education?
Well, the governor hasn't signed it yet, so it's not law quite yet. Once the governor signs it, it goes into effect. The good news, Art, is under Michigan's Constitution, you can only appropriate funds over 1 year. You can only budget for 1 year. So it's a bad budget for this 1 year. As the Democrats have shown, it's very easy to undo many years of good budgets with 1 year of a bad budget. But we take back control as Republicans in the state legislature, we can start to undo some of the bad with future budgets. But it's always harder to put the toothpaste back in the tube. That's for sure.
Yeah, and it took long enough. Although this is, when I say it took long enough, it actually didn't take as long as many other budgets that have come before. I mean, it was. I want to say not until Rick Snyder took office that budgets got passed in a timely fashion. So this is relatively timely in terms of passing a budget. You're not looking at September and fall for 11th hour and 59th minute. But but this is
my old football coach, Art. Yeah, he would say you got to be quick, but don't hurry. And this budget, so you obviously you don't want to prolong the process and allow for county governments, schools that depend on a budget. You don't want to draw them out and put them into financial uncertainty. But you don't want to rush this budget and then, as Nancy Pelosi would say, pass it to find out what's in it.
Yeah.
This was a more than 1,000-page budget that we voted on at 5 a.m. I'm not joking. 5 a.m. We got the budget at midnight. So we had, a couple of hours to review this $83 billion spending of your budget. That alone was enough to be enough to tell most people, hey, we got to press pause. You want a bunch of lawmakers on zero sleep to review $83 billion? No company in America would do that. It's ridiculous.
But probably, I imagine, politically done on purpose that way.
Oh, 110% done on purpose. They wanted to jam through this in the middle of the night and make sure that people weren't paying attention. And I tell you what, Art, I hadn't pulled all-nighters since I was working as a defense intelligence officer in the Middle East and trying to hunt down terrorists. It's been a long time since I pulled all-nighters, and this was not a good way to do it.
All right, hang on. I got to take a quick break here, and we'll come back. We're talking to State Representative Bill G. Schuette, and we will have more ahead after these notes.
Are you suffering from pain or injury?
All right, back with you. We're chatting with State Representative Bill G. Schuette, and before we get back to our conversation, just in from the Supreme Court, and I have not read it all, so this is just a quick synopsis of what I understand the ruling says. The Supreme Court, in a 6-3 vote, has ruled that there is immunity to presidents for official acts, but not immunity for unofficial acts. And they've sent the case back to the lower courts. And the reality of any trial before the election is pretty much done. All right, Counselor, tell me what what do you think of that?
That's I haven't had a chance to review that specifically. I do know, Art, that this upcoming election is going to be a referendum on really the failed and weak presidency of Joe Biden. And we feel the impacts of that everywhere from the gas station to the grocery store. You look at the cost of housing, the insecurity on our southern border. And I tell you what, after watching that debate last week, I'm concerned as a former defense intelligence officer what our adversaries think. Our president can't even finish his sentence. Do you think terrorist organizations are intimidated? Russia, China, Iran? Intimidated by the Joe Biden they saw on that debate stage? I certainly don't think so, and that's a concerning thing we should be grappling with as Americans right now.
Yeah, apparently this ruling, they ruled that he has absolute immunity on official acts, but there is no immunity for unofficial acts, and so they've sent it back to the lower courts. It'll be interesting to see how this has been such a strange few years, I would say, in this country. I've been doing this a long time, Bill, and I don't ever remember a time like this. I mean, there are times when we've said, we're in bad shape and there's dissension and all that, but I've never seen a divide like this. Never.
Yeah, Art, I will say this, though. I'm an optimist about America, and we can feel very divided, and we can feel like we're separated. But then I think about, on Thursday, I'm going to go to the Beaverton 4th of July parade. And that's a town of a little more than 1,000 people. But then it seems like everybody and their brother, their sister, and their friends from out of town pack Main Street in Beaverton. And it restores your faith a lot. And I do believe that we agree on a lot as a country, and that there is more that unites us than divides us. And we'll get through this day by day, step by step.
I have said many times that when Americans get fed up with government, they make a change. I think we're going to find out if that's true or not.
I think that is true, and I will also say I lived in Washington when I went to school and worked as an intelligence officer, and I did an internship during undergraduate in the offices of Congressman Dave Camp. And when you're an intern, one of the things you do is you give tours in the U.S. Capitol, and that was always a great experience. You take people from all across at that time it was Dave Camp's 4th district.
Yep.
Around the Capitol. You'd also give them a little bit of a history, and you'd watch a historical video, and you think back in the 1850s. Preston Brooks went in with his cane, struck down Charles Sumner from Massachusetts. So, we've certainly had, periods of sharp division and divisiveness in our politics. And, you think about the year the 1960s and the protests and riots that you've seen. We're a country that is always moving forward. We're always trying to form a more perfect union, as we say. And it isn't always a perfect journey, but it's one where when we reflect on the 4th of July, we're still a country that stands for those important values, and that's something we can always have as our guiding light.
Amen. So now that the budget's done, what's on the table, or is there nothing on the table because this is an election year?
No, Art, there's a whole host of things I'd like to get done, from housing affordability legislation that I've proposed with some of my colleagues to, ways to cut costs on families for back to school. That being said, I'm also, in addition to being an optimist, I'm a realist, and I understand that part of the reasons we hurried through this budget was because we're in an election year, and there will be a lot of campaigning. Now, I'm the chairman of the House Republican Campaign Committee, so I've got skin in that game as well. And it's going to be a big election. Michigan is the road to the White House goes through Michigan. The road to the U.S. Senate majorities and U.S. Congress majorities runs through Michigan. But also Michigan State House. You look across the country, it's the most likely and most impactful legislative chamber in the entire country. That could flip towards Republicans. So it'll be a big battle, but we'll be ready to come through.
Well, listen, Bill, I appreciate you spending the time with us this morning, as always, and look forward to chatting with you again down the road.
All right. Thank you very much, Art, and I appreciate it, and hope you have a good 4th of July.
And you too. Thanks, and say hi to your dad.
I will. Thank you.
Bye-bye now. State Representative Bill Schuette, we thank him for joining us. That's Bill G. Schuette, which distinguishes him from his dad, Bill Schuette. And we appreciate his time this morning. We will take a break, come back, and we'll see if we can get a live report on what happened in the Supreme Court today from CBS. Ask how you slept last night. When you go to bed, you spend a third of your life there. You need quality sleep. You can get it with a quality mattress from Sanitary Mattress. Now you can visit all the so-called sleep stores, or you can rest assured the mattress you're using is manufactured right here in the Great Lakes Bay region to your specifications. Your dollars are spent and they stay right here in our local economy. Your time in bed may be cut short by today's demanding world, but don't be fooled. You can still get a quality good night's sleep on a Sanitary Mattress. And they feature 1-hour delivery window of your mattress to your home. By the way, if you have an RV or a boat, Sanitary Mattress will custom make a mattress for you to your exact size. something the box stores can't do. Visit the Sanitary Mattress Factory and Showroom, serving this area since 1935. Set your GPS to 5343 Janes Road in Saginaw. They're just east of the Harry Brown Airport. Visit them on the web at sanitarymattress.com or call them at 989-1757.
The IRS
Special report. The Supreme Court has just weighed in on a blockbuster case involving presidential immunity. Former President Trump argued he was immune from criminal prosecution for his role in the January 6 riot at the U.S. Capitol. CBS's Jan Crawford.
This says flatly presidents are immune, absolutely immune for their official acts. That means acts that they take under the arbit of their office as president. But, and here's the big but and why it's important for Donald Trump, they do not have that kind of immunity for their unofficial acts.
The decision, 6-3.
There is a scathing dissent by Justice Sotomayor, joined by the two other liberal justices. This is not an outcome that John Roberts would have preferred.
And the timing of this decision was important because it could have determined whether Trump stands trial before the November election. CBS News Special Report. I'm Cammie McCormick.
Your minutes are remaining for the hour. We will have open phones next hour, by the way, through Focus till about 25 after. But as you just heard, the Supreme Court has finally issued their ruling regarding presidential immunity. And what they said was the president has absolute immunity when it comes to official acts and no immunity when it comes to unofficial acts. And the court directed U.S. District Judge Tanya Chutkan to assess whether core aspects of the indictment are official acts and therefore shielded from immunity, or are not official acts and therefore potentially subject to prosecution. Those include, among other things, Trump's hectoring of Vice President Mike Pence to not certify the electoral votes, a core feature of the 4-count indictment. It was a 6-3 ruling, and the justice said for the first time that a former president have absolute immunity from prosecution for their official acts, no immunity for unofficial. But rather than do it themselves, the justices ordered lower courts to figure out precisely how to apply that decision in Trump's case. But the outcome does mean a lot of delays before and if Trump could face trial in the case brought by special counsel Jack Smith. And the court's decision, it's a second major Trump case this term. They rejected efforts to bar him from the ballot earlier on. But this will almost certainly mean that there will be no trials before the election. And this will force great delays so that nothing will happen before the election. And then the Georgia case with Fani Willis, still waiting to be determined by the appeals court as to whether or not she can proceed. And she's facing a whole bunch of other things, too. We'll talk to Bob in Reese here. Bob, got about a minute and a half. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll be quick. I'll try to be as factual as possible. In regard to what Gene said, that paper is a conjecture. But the facts are, under George W. Bush, Putin took back the Georgia area. Under Obama, he took back the Crimea. Under Trump, he took back nothing. Mm-hmm. Under Biden, he's trying to take back Ukraine. Those are the facts. Okay? Then the other thing about the Supreme Court thing, isn't a president who is in office, isn't it his right or duty to make sure that the elections, were properly tallied and
yeah, and I think what's going to happen here is, and I'm not a lawyer, I don't play one on the radio, But I think what's going to happen is, and from what I understand, that's exactly what the Supreme Court told the judge to determine. What they said was he's absolutely immune from official acts, no immunity for unofficial acts. So it's up to this district court judge to decide what's official, what's not official. And, a lot of people speculated and suspected the court was going to find a way to...
Getting back to the election, Art, the people who call us election deniers are the people who took from the 3rd of February to the 27th of February to come out with a winner in the Iowa caucus in 2020, if you remember.
Yeah, but that doesn't change the election.
It was 24 days. And if you look online, I don't think you'll find an actual vote count. All you'll find is that Pete Buttigieg got 14 delegates, and I don't know how it went on down, and Biden got 6. Bernie Sanders got 10. But those people are the ones that are telling us we're election deniers. Now, Hillary Clinton did campaign a little, but the crowds were so small it was embarrassing, and that's why she didn't campaign.
Yep.
Bill Clinton came to Detroit on Sunday morning before the election because he knew what was going on, but she never came with him.
Yep.
He tried to rally the troops.
All right, but none of that has anything to do with whether Trump did an official act or an unofficial act. We can speculate, but the judge will have to determine it. And with that, I got to go because I'm out of time. But we will talk again. Thanks. Gotta go. Got to go. Bye.
My mom's my best friend.
All right, that'll do it for this hour. We'll be back. We'll have more open phones at the flip side. Right through about 25 after, we'll take a look more at the Supreme Court ruling today regarding presidential immunity. The news is next. We'll talk to you after that.
Broadcasting from the